Here's a common automower issue that a lot of people just overlook before they put their mower back out to mow for the season. The front tires. These caster wheels here have a replaceable tire. If you watched our one video there, we showed you how you go about changing them. But you can see this thing here is just shot. The tire is just blown up. It's actually ready to just fall right off the wheel. If this gets caught right, it's just going to pop right off of there. Now, all you're doing here is you're just wearing down this plastic wheel, and the more that this thing gets chewed up and torn up, the more it's going to cost you later on, because now instead of just replacing this tire here in the center, you're going to have to replace this, either the outside pieces or the entire assembly, depending on how bad it gets. This one over here is not quite as bad, but you can see there, it's actually got the little rubber tab popped out of the plastic side piece. So yeah, this one here is pretty much done for too. It's completely bald. It should be replaced. And a lot of people think, oh well, there's still rubber on there, so it's still good, right? Not quite. This is what a brand new one looks like, and you can see it's got the little tread lines in there. Now, it doesn't take long for them to wear off, but still, when it gets all worn down like this, completely smooth, and especially when it gets all floppy like this here, you want to replace that. And that's usually about a once every year and a half to once every 2 years on a 400 series or a 300 series Automower, depending on how much it runs. You know, that's always going to play a big part in deciding how soon they should be changed, but it's something you want to look at, especially before you put this thing out there for the season and you're relying on it. Now's the time to get them, and now's the time to replace them. So like I said, you can just replace this tire here, and this is going to be your cheapest option, to just take this wheel apart, you know, with the screws in here like we showed you in our one other video, and pop this apart and replace that tire. The other problem is when you get something like this, now you're getting all kinds of moisture and other crud inside of there. So now this one not only needs a new tire, it needs new bearings. And if you just give this thing a whirl, you can hear those bearings just growling away. They're done for. So they're going to need to be replaced. This one's not too far behind it. It's a little quieter. It spins a little freer than this one. So I would just replace that one too while you're at it. But the big thing is, if you keep these tires in good shape, it's going to cut down on your maintenance costs, because you'll be just replacing this rather than the whole wheel assembly, or, you know, a tire and bearings, or whatever else you got to do to keep this thing going. Now, the big thing with the bearings going bad is, of course, that's going to add resistance and make it feel like the mower is dragging something behind it, because it's going to be harder for it to push. And it's also going to end up wearing into the shaft. The bearing is going to end up wearing into the shaft and ruining the shaft, which means you're going to have to replace the axle shaft here, which means you're going to have to split the whole mower apart and all that good stuff. So that's just way more headache and way more way more work that you're not going to want to deal with if you don't have to. So make it easier on yourselves. Just check your wheels out, replace this tire when it's time to replace it, spend the few dollars on this rather than you know, $40 a piece or so for each side here to replace the entire assembly, because it's all just chewed up that bad and all the parts are ruined in there. Here's a look at the parts diagram to show you all the individual parts available for the wheel assembly. And if you remember, in one of our previous videos, we showed you how to take all this stuff apart and repair all this, but this is what we're talking about when we say you can either end up replacing the tire or a bunch of these other components or the whole assembly. That tire right now sells for less than $10. That whole assembly, you're looking around $45 to $50 for that whole assembly. So definitely worth your while to take the time and change that tire out long before it wears everything else out inside of there. We got a few side notes here for you, just as reminders. Replace the parts individually or as a complete assembly, except for on the 115H. That is a complete assembly only. It is made so you can just snap the whole assembly up into the body in the back there, unclip it, remove it, pop a new one up in. Real easy to do. On the 300, 400, and 500 series, you can buy the individual components, or you can buy an entire assembly and throw it up in there if you want. Now, to replace the entire assembly requires splitting the chassis open to replace the axle, which is number 2 on our list here. That axle goes up in through some bearings in the lower chassis. It is held in place by that same round retainer ring that is used on the other end of the axle to hold the wheel and the bearings and all that stuff onto the axle. The next one is tires are considered a wear item. Same way with the lawn tractor, zero turn, your car, your truck, they're tires. They're going to wear out. So that means if you buy a new Automower and you have that 2-year warranty, and after a year and a half, your tires are completely bald and flopping all over the place and about to come off your wheels, they are not going to be replaced under warranty. They are made to wear. It's rubber. That's just what happens. So you're going to need to replace them on your own. Which brings us to our next point. Lack of maintenance is not covered by warranty. So that tire needs replaced. You didn't replace it. You have one like we showed you in the video where it's flopping all around and you got a big gap there between the wheel and the tire. You're getting all kinds of moisture and dirt and debris in there. It's going to make your bearings start to go bad. Your bearings go bad. It's going to cut into your shaft. Now you've got to replace all those components or the entire assembly. So instead of replacing that less than $10 tire, you've got to replace a $45 to $50 complete assembly. That is not going to be covered under warranty because you did not maintain it. That tire wearing out and you not maintaining it is not a defect in workmanship or a blemish in a casting or any other warrantable condition. It's just a lack of maintenance. That's it, plain and simple. It's like if you run over a nail with your car tire or your lawn tractor tire and get a hole in it and the tire goes flat. That's not warranty. It's just, it's maintenance. That's on you. This is going to be the same way. You run out of round air, tire gets ruined. You continue to let it run like that. It's on you to fix it. So that's something that people will argue about a lot of time because they think if something's under warranty, everything from bumper to bumper, top to bottom should be covered under warranty. But, you do play a part in this. You do have to put a little bit of effort into it and maintain your equipment to keep it in proper operating condition for it to be covered under warranty. So now the complete wheel assembly is different from the 300 series to the 400/500 series of Automowers. Big difference there is just that axle is a different part. Just a little bit different from one to the other. But everything else, the bearings, tires, that kind of stuff, all the same from 300 series, 400, 500 series. They even used that same tire back in the old 200 series models of Automowers. So pretty common part, means you should be able to find that pretty easily at a dealer near you. If you can't, again, just track one down online if need be. You want to make sure you're keeping your mower up and running and in the best operating condition. So do what you got to do to be able to get the parts for it. All right, so hopefully you guys were able to learn something here. We were able to show you some little tricks there to keep your mower in better operating condition and what to look for when you're doing the maintenance on your mower and getting ready for the start of the season. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you later. See ya.